The rich get older, or something like that. Having secured a buyout with the Chicago Bulls, Dwayne Wade is due to sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers, per ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. An eventful summer in the NBA will make for an exciting 2017-18 fantasy hoops season. Create or join an ESPN Fantasy Basketball League today. Sign up for free. Now that one half of the Banana Boat Collective is back together, I've been tasked with evaluating the fantasy fallout both for Wade in Cleveland and with the young roster he leaves in Chicago. With Isaiah Thomas reportedly sidelined until January with a significant hip ailment, Wade's arrival offers needed playmaking support for a Cleveland team seeking to replace or approximate Kyrie Irving's inventive offensive contributions. Irving, after all, was 10th in the NBA in usage rating, a measure of team plays consumed by a given player, 11th in scoring average and 23rd in player efficiency rating last season. Mock drafts, rotor rankings, points rankings, projections, player profiles, draft strategies, DFS strategies, we've got everything you need to dominate fantasy basketball from every angle. With so much high-end player movement during the offseason, the fantasy value of myriad players has been altered dramatically, and not just those players who change teams. Right off the bat, I can declare Wade's skill set doesn't marry seamlessly with the Cavs system, as Cleveland was second in the NBA in percentage of their points that come from three-point range. He is not here to replace Irving's offensive workload, that's Thomas' task once healthy. Yet Wade's intimate familiarity working alongside LeBron James should prove rewarding for his offensive opportunities. Wade enters with an advantage for touches and usage ahead of a more unfamiliar import like Derrick Rose, for example. There is a great deal of overlap in the games of Wade and Rose. They are both ultimately reliant on driving to the basket to create offense. Rose was 12th in the league last season with 10 drives per game, with Wade checking in with 6.2, among the leaders for shooting guards. Then again, a few seasons ago, ESPN's Tom Haberstroh detailed that even without much touch from beyond the three-point line, Wade's unique off-ball gravity could serve to help space the floor. Essentially, I think Wade is the better on-court complement in lineups featuring James and, thus, could play into earning him more meaningful minutes and touches. Getting down to the Marquette Legends' fantasy value in Cleveland, the real basketball impact will almost surely outweigh the fantasy influence Wade's acquisition signals. Brand recognition is a real force in fantasy, especially in a star-driven climate like pro hoops. So it's not entirely surprising to see a former superstar like Wade taken 69th overall on average in ESPN Live draft results. Since value is determined by what the market will pay, it appears unlikely you'll net the scale of discount necessary in fantasy drafts for Wade to provide a profit via his production in Cleveland. Even as he averaged 18.3 points, 4.5 boards, 3.8 dimes and 1.4 steals during 60 games for the Bulls last year, Wade finished 95th on the Player Rater, an index that reveals contextual value across several statistics. Can we realistically see him approximating 80% of these numbers this season? How about when Thomas returns to consume such a heavy share? He was 4th overall in usage rate last season. With such overlap in skills and potential responsibilities with Rose, and without the requisite three-point range to shine in tire and loose space-driven scheme, I don't see how Wade lives up to his average draft position, even if it dips 20 spots. For an approximation of his expected value, I have Wade currently projected as the 112th player in ESPN points leagues this season. Even that might be lofty. Rose, by proxy, sees his already compromised fantasy stock take another costly hit. Even as he averaged more half-court touches than James and Irving, Rose finished 91st on the Player Rater last season with the Knicks. Don't think of selecting Rose until the twilight rounds, if at all. The real fantasy value is left in Chicago, as Wade's heavy usage and steady minutes will filter throughout the Bulls' young roster. This past April, ESPN's Kevin Pelton and Chad Ford re-ranked the top 10 of the 2016 NBA draft with a year of evidence at their disposal. Point guard Chris Dunn, who was a centerpiece of the Jimmy Butler trade, wasn't even mentioned by the analysts, despite going 5th overall to Minnesota the previous June. The quick way to say this is that Dunn's stock is extremely depressed in both real and fantasy regards after an abysmal rookie campaign. The Providence product finished 336th out of 355 qualified players in per last season. I'm willing to forgive this disastrous rookie effort, mostly because the Bulls appear willing to feature Dunn as their heavy usage point guard this season. Butler